Hello, my name is Nathan Mysick, and this Folio training video is on the user's application. The user's app in Folio allows us to manage both patron as well as library staff information, so it's all kept in the same place, and we can view, say, the items patrons or staff have on hold, the items they have checked out, any bills they may have. Of course, Folio uses different terminology, so in this live demo, I will be going over that and discussing how it relates to the workflows terminology that many of us are more familiar with. One thing to keep in mind as I'm doing this demo is some of the things I will point out are not available for everyone to use. So there are certain permissions within Folio itself that you need to access these features. So if you're following along and trying things out in Folio yourself and you don't see certain things, that's why. If you do believe you should have those permissions, reach out to your supervisor or the head of your department and get that ball rolling, talking about updating your permissions in Folio so you have everything necessary once we hit the ground running in August. Okay, so as you can see, I'm on the Folio test site, and for anyone who doesn't have the URL because my image is currently hiding it, it is folio.test.stanford.edu. Okay, so once you've all gotten there, we are going to first find the user's application. As you can see, the top has some of the apps I have access to in Folio. And if you click on apps, the drop-down menu will appear and you just go down to users. Once you go into the app itself, the search bar immediately shows up on the left. You have the general drop-down menu, which allows you to search by keyword, so name, email, or you can get a bit more specific by throwing in barcode, which is the library ID, or searching by last name or even username. You can also further filter your search results. So if you're trying to get very specific, even more specific than the drop-down menu, the filters will allow you to do that. For this demo, we're just going to keep it simple and just do a general keyword search. I will be searching for a test account that we have, though you are free to search up yourself if you want for this demo. Okay, so as you can see, I searched for a test account, as I said, Kirk James Tiberius. The thing to keep in mind is Folio will truncate terms. So if you are searching and I had just put Kirk, Folio would view that as the term by itself and would then pull up all the results that contain Kirk. So either other users that have the first name Kirk, other users that have Kirk in their last name, whether that actually be their last name, or a larger word containing Kirk. So do keep that in mind when you're searching. Sometimes you will have to get more specific to limit the number of results you are getting. Okay, so once you pull up or find the patron you want, you click on their name to pull up their account. So as you can see right away, we just get some basic user information, but there are three sections in particular we are going to be focusing on. The first is fees/fines. Simple enough. In workflows, that's just the bills section of the user's account. So open fees/fines are just any fees the user has acquired that they have not paid, so they're just unfulfilled. Closed fees/fines are ones that they have either paid or have in any other way like been taken care of, whether that's refunded or waived, etc. Obviously, you can then just view all of the fees/fines together, whether they be open or closed. And then finally, you can create a fee/fine if you need to add a manual fee to the user's account that Folio will not account for. The next is loans. Now, loans in Folio is essentially referring to items or other materials that users have both checked out as well as checked in or discharged, which is something our workflows users will be more familiar with. So open loans is a list of all the materials that a user has currently checked out, and closed loans are materials that have been returned by the user. So that allows you to keep track of what users may or may not have had in the past or currently. Finally, the last section we will be going over is requests. Requests in Folio is the equivalent of holds from workflows. So open requests are all of the current active holds that a user has placed, and closed requests are all of the ones that have either expired or were already fulfilled for that patron. And then finally, you can create requests for patrons. So if you need to place a hold manually for a patron because it's for a new book or any other material, you will have that ability. Well, as long as you have the permissions, you will have that ability, which of course brings me to user permissions. That's not really a basic function, but if you are curious about what permissions you yourself have in Folio, you can click user permissions and everything will show up under that. As you can see, this test user does not have any permissions, so there's nothing there. But if you're looking up your account, you can see what you have access to. And again, if you feel you don't have access to something you need, please reach out to your supervisor or the head of your department. That is all for this training video, and my colleague Danielle Noble will be doing a more in-depth user application training video. Well, she will be discussing more advanced features that will definitely require those user permissions. But I would say check it out anyway, because it's definitely some pretty useful information. And who knows, maybe you'll need it in the future. Okay. Bye.